Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, on this episode of Bullet Points, we have to address the obvious, the breaking news. It's Wednesday. The fact that the CEOs of the major gun manufacturers in the United States are going to be dragged in front of the Congressional Oversight Committee, chaired by the venerable Carolyn Maloney, the Democrat from New York. Now, of course, we know the entire point of this is a dog and pony show. They're bringing them forward to flay them and skewer them in the court of public opinion. That's what they're going to do. That's the entire intention. And this is about a marketing attack against the sales and marketing of the gun industry. Because, of course, as you guys know, if you can't get them through a constitutional legislation and you can't get them because they're not unconstitutional because they are, we might as well skewer and flay them in the court of public opinion. That way, we can get rid of those pesky guns. But the only problem is, it's not working. So they got to up the ante a little bit, and in so doing, they put out a lovely memo with all the talking points and all the attacks that they're going to do against these CEOs in the media. Isn't that interesting how this entire thing is setting up almost like a play? Get your information, put it out to the media. The media will regurgitate, get everyone stirred up and agitated, and get ready for the big meeting. Then the congressional oversight gets the CEOs in their home turf. Then they fillet them with the same talking points that the media already primed them on. That's what I'm going to show you today. The media actually put out these 3 articles, all 3 of these, within 2 hours of each other, using the exact same congressional memo talking points. And I cannot wait to show you how it's almost the exact same article from 3 different authors, 3 different publications. This is gaslighting at its finest, and you guys need to be aware of this as it occurs. Because this is an orchestrated drama. That's what this is. That's what we're going to talk about. Everything is linked in the description box below per usual. And now let's get it. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this. Now, the articles in question, we've got CNBC, NBC, and New York Times, all right? First one, gun companies made more than $1 billion from assault weapon sales over a decade, House panel says. Second one, New York Times. Assault weapons makers pulled in over $1 billion as violence surged, report says. And NBC, gun manufacturers made more than $1 billion in assault-style weapon sales in the last decade, House panel says. That was almost copy and pasted. It's not. It's literally from 3 different authors and 3 different publications, but it shows you a very common source. And this is media malpractice and manipulation at its finest. Check it. I'll read you all 3 of these articles saying the exact same thing at different points in the article. Gun manufacturers have made more than $1 billion from selling assault-style weapons to civilians in the last decade, with some companies seeing their earnings triple as gun deaths soared, a House panel said Wednesday. What's the second article say? Major gun manufacturers have made over $1 billion in the last decade selling military-style assault weapons, according to an investigation by the House Committee on Oversight and Reform. And the third one? Washington. The leading manufacturers of assault rifles used to perpetrate the deadliest mass shootings in the United States have collected over $1 billion in revenue over the past decade as gun violence surges across the country. According to a House investigation set to be presented on Capitol Hill on Wednesday. Wow, that was a very verbose way to say what the other 2 just said. Anyway, they're saying the exact same thing. They're driving from the exact same memo from the talking points that this committee released. Now, make sure that you guys are subscribed. You are on this channel because these CEOs are going to need some backup, and we are here to provide it because I have a funny feeling those Democratic representatives are not going to be too kind to the CEOs of lawful businesses. Just saying. But let's keep going. Let's go to the second point I'm going to show you. Again, all 3 authors. The House began immediately investigating the gun industry's profits after the mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde. It released its initial findings Wednesday as the CEOs of Daniel Defense, Sturm Ruger & Co. were expected to testify at hearing about the role the firearms industry plays in America's gun violence epidemic, because it's clearly their fault. Clearly. Here's the second author. The findings, released before a congressional hearing on Wednesday on the marketing of assault rifles, indicate that the gun industry has thrived by selling and marketing military-grade weapons to civilians, specifically targeting and playing to the insecurities of young men, while some have made thinly veiled references to white supremacy groups. And the third? A memo from the panel outlines manufacturers' revenue and marketing strategies for assault-style weapons, focusing on the gun brands used in the recent mass shootings. The release came ahead of a hearing Wednesday on the role of the firearm industry in pervasive gun violence in the United States. This is almost copy and paste, only with your own flair. Now, of course, these are not military-style weapons. We have 3 Supreme Court decisions that deem these as common use as a common rifle, a modern sporting rifle, because they're talking about ARs. Not to mention the fact that they are going into this whole "you made all this money" situation. Well, of course they made all this money. There was unprecedented buying sprees happening in this exact same time frame. But they won't tell you that. They're also going to blame all the deaths that are resulting from someone either harming themselves or a homicide with a firearm in the United States, around the tune of 45,000. But they're not going to tell you that 2/3 of those were suicide, because they can't say that because they can't pin that on the gun CEOs. But let's keep going. I got some more points for you. This is number 4. Again, all 3 authors. The committee said leading gun manufacturers use disturbing sales tactics, including targeting the weapons to young men to prove their manliness, while failing to take basic steps to monitor the violence and destruction their products have unleashed. Here's the second one. Quote, the business practices of these gun manufacturers are deeply disturbing, exploitative, and reckless. Representative Carolyn B. Maloney, Democrat of New York, and the chairwoman of the committee said in a statement. Quote, these companies use aggressive marketing tactics to target young people, especially young men, and some even evoke symbols of white supremacy. She added, quote, we found that none of these companies bothers to keep track of the death and destruction caused by their products. And the third? The brands themselves do not track deaths, injuries, or crimes that involve their weapons. Sig Sauer told the committee that it does, quote, not have the means to track death because it's not a government agency, you dolts. Sturm Ruger and Co. said it learns of incidents through its customer service department, the media, or from occasional lawsuits. It is not it's not a private business enterprise responsibility to know government statistics. That's kind of stupid. But that's not the point here. The point is not to make sense. The point is not to affect change. The point here is to string them up by their toes and make an example of them because they can't get legislatively what they want done, so they've got to attack private CEOs. But I digress. Let's keep going. And this last point, this is incredibly important because only 2 of the actual authors seem to have the balls to say what they wanted to say on this one because they needed to. The third one really seemed to neglect this part. But check it out. House Democrats are pushing to vote on an assault weapons ban later this week. If passed, the bill is unlikely to make it through the Senate. And the second? The House is expected to vote on Friday on an assault weapons ban for the first time since 1994, a measure that will have no chance of passage in the evenly divided Senate. And that third author just didn't quite have the oomph and the gusto to get that last part in there and deviated from the copy and paste method. This entire thing is an orchestrated media attempt to paint these CEOs and these companies as bad, evil, and horribly negligent for the public good because they made profit in a legal industry during the biggest boom of gun buying that happened in recent history, actually in all history, from 2019 to 2021. You can't have that. You can't have these laws not be passed, so now we got to have someone be accountable, and it's going to be the marketing and sales tactics of these individual companies because they are putting pressure, illegitimate pressure, on legal business enterprise. And on this channel, I'm going to have every clip, everything of note, and we are going to give these guys some backup because they're going to need it after today. That's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you tonight at the 9 p.m. segment. I'm Braden. See you later.